Hello everybody, my name's Al Liebman and welcome to the Grand National Roadster Show in Pomona, California. I'm standing in front of my little baby here. It's Deuce Bigalow. It's a 1932 5-window coupe. Original body with original frame on it. But let's move forward and we'll talk about the motor a little bit. How's that? I'm going to tell you a little about the motor we have in here. This thing is powered by a 1958 348 Chevy. It has 3 Deuces on it, which is 3 carburetors, 3 2-barrel carburetors. It has a 350 transmission in it. I have the original frame in here that was chopped and was also boxed. I want to thank the previous owners who had this car. The gentleman who had it before me, it was a gentleman named Lee Osborne from upstate New York. He took this frame, again, like we said, it's an original 32 Ford frame. He boxed it, he channeled it. This thing, you can probably hang a house from this frame. What we have in this car is we have disc brakes on the front. We have a traditional 4-bar, which was on the 32. We have the original 32 lights that you usually don't see in a lot of 32s that are out here. Most of them have the either E and J headlights or they have the smaller ones. We have Raider wheels on here, and we have BF Goodrich wide whites radials. We have air cleaners on here. Got a hold of a buddy of mine, Dennis O'Brien, has a company called O'Brien Truckers, and they do a lot of fin products. These are aluminum air cleaners that have removable inserts that are finned to match the look of the valve covers. He also provided us with what we call spreader bar caps. Those are the caps that go on the front of the car that holds the front bar together. Most guys in the 32s have bolts. I wanted to keep that same fin look, so we went to the spreader bar caps. Did a little modification before we came here. I had a set of dump pipes put on here. Had them done by a guy in New Jersey. Did a great job. We have it connected to the exhaust manifolds. I decided they didn't want to go to a header, so I went to the stock manifolds are on here. And we need to make a little noise. We take the caps off. Another set of caps that fit on here, and we can make a little rumbling noise. As we move to the side of the engine, you'll see a little silver tank over there. That's the radiator overflow. This one's kind of unique because this was made out of a lab instrument. It must have been used somewhere in the 60s or 70s, and the guy who had it before me did a good job of mounting it to the side of the body. It doesn't look like the traditional ones. I think I'm going to keep that on for a while. No air, got some heat, we said. No air is kind of rough in Jersey in the summertime. One thing I wish this car had was at least the rollout window that was stock on the car and also had a vent. So again, when the car was done 20 years ago, a lot of people filled that in. If this thing had the original or a rollout window, there's 2 cranks on the inside and the window would roll out probably about 2-3 inches, give you some ventilations. Also in the spot right here is where the cowl vent was. The cowl vent is still in the car, but unfortunately they filled it in and they did such a great job. We're now sitting inside the interior of the car. As you noticed, we have a little short window here. When this body was done, it had a 2.5-inch chop off the top, which means it gives you a shorter window on it. Things in here to kind of make it unique here. We had Alan Johnson, again, while he was here, do some pinstriping. We have video gauges. We have an old, looks like a Volkswagen kind of steering wheel, 12-inch wheel that goes back to, I would say, probably 18, 19 years ago. We're going to do some modifications probably early spring before the car season starts, and we'll be changing our column here. The column came from an old Monza, so we need to change that because, unfortunately, I have to squeeze my little tush to get in this car. Got a little box heater here, which is kind of unique because you don't find a lot of cars with heaters. This thing gives us some great heat and weather here. Made some changes to the carpeting, made some changes to the pedals on the floor. We will be doing a little overhauling on the interior. What's funny, what makes this interior a little unique is we have ourselves a little blanket here. Went to a car show last year and found this $10 blanket, if you want to call Indian or Mexican blanket, whatever you want to say, and offsets the colors of the car and kind of gives it a little unique flavor to it. You can always tell the age of the car. We've got an overhead console, which you haven't seen in cars in probably 15, 20 years, and we've got a cassette player. You notice you see a bunch of decals on the back window there. Those are what they call water slide decals. A lot of them go back probably 20, 30, maybe even 40 years. Really hard to find. We're going to now move to the back of the car. Underneath the car, we have coilover shocks, and we have a Ford 8-inch rear end with a 325 gears in it. Rear brakes on the back are the original drum brakes. Also, we have a 4-bar suspension in the back also. That again dates back probably 15, 18, 20 years when the car was built. As I was saying before, we have BF Goodrich wide white walls in the back. Got them from Coker Tires. When I first bought the car, it had traditional bias plies, like most guys like to run. But I found out for as much driving as I do with the car, bias plies aren't going to take it, especially on the roads back east. Again, we have the Raider wheels in the back. We have the Raider spinners. Kind of made the look of the car. We moved to the back of the car. As you see, we have no gas tank. Most of the 32s had the gas tanks outside the car. This has been Frenched in the back, so the gas tank is located inside the trunk. 1939 Ford taillights. And we got a little area over here. We have a gentleman named Alan Johnson. He did a great job. He did some pinstriping on the car. And the funny thing is, he did some lettering this weekend. and he's from New Jersey, so I have to go 3,000 miles to have a guy from New Jersey do some more lettering and pinstriping from me. License plate, a little unique also. We decided to louver it. Hope I don't get pulled over by the police because I could get in trouble. You know, before we talked about license plates, I wanted to put a license plate on the front of the car, and I had one from New Jersey, but I really didn't like the way it looked. It was kind of too big. So again, I spent a little time researching on the internet, went to eBay, found myself in Nebraska, an original Nebraska 1932 license plate, bolted it on the front, and I have what they call a license plate topper. Kind of neat, kind of fun. Usually guys have them in either one or two sides. They keep them on the back of the cars. Usually represents old gas stations and stuff like that. This is the Farm Bureau. Farm Bureau was an insurance company that used to insure your cars in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. And you'd put one of these on the front of your car and your license plate to say that you were a member. You notice you see an emblem in the front here. It says V8. Well, V8, 1932 was the first year they put a V8 into Fords. We also have our stock bar here that was bent, again, to fit the front end of this, and our headlights. Stock headlights from the 1932. Reproduction lenses on it, but again, keeping that stock look, keeping that traditional. I want to have a good time, fun drive. We talked about before, no drip rails. Usually on the 32s, there's a drip rail here. Prevents the rain from getting in the car. Again, guy who did this, the bodywork, did a great job. No drip rails at all. Also the roof. Roof used to have an insert. Insert is filled in. Most people, when they see this car, they come over, they look at it, and they think it's a glass car. Because, they don't see no drip rails. They don't see no filler on the roof. But sometimes I have to give them the old sound check, and then they kind of stop because they realize, wait a minute, glass car with steel doors, that ain't going to happen. So that's about it. It's pretty straight, pretty clean. Again, this is my baby. This is Deuce Bigalow. Made the big trip to the West Coast. Going to take him home this year. Going to take him home in a few weeks, hopefully. And I'm going to drive the hell out of it. Thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoyed the show.